Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Freedom Adventure. Today is Saturday, May the 17th, and what I'm planning on working on today is getting the shower, at least starting to go ahead and do the waterproof process on the shower area before we put in the shower pan and also before we go ahead and put up the tile as well. Now, before I do that, first thing we got to do is go ahead and drill a drain hole where the actual drain of the shower pan is going to go in, and I think right now the biggest hole saw I've got on tap is maybe a 3 inch or 2 7/8 or something. Be good enough to get the process started, and I may have to make that a little bit bigger later, but for right now, that's what I'm going to go ahead and use. Um, Once I get this thing waterproof, then we can go ahead with one additional sheet of, I believe it's 1/4 inch plywood, which will overhang the shower pan a little bit. And yeah, so that's where we're going to get started today. So come on, check it out. If this is something you're into, like and subscribe. We'll see you there. Come on. All right, guys. Well, the first thing I'll just give you a quick rundown is where the shower's sitting at right now. The plywood is roughed up and on the walls, looking pretty good. You got to keep in mind that, try as I may, nothing was really truly square in this thing. So there's going to be a lot of seam seal or a lot of caulking going on before the waterproofing goes up. But for right now, you can kind of see we've got the toilet platform in here. Part of that does lift up for access for, at least it lifts up for right now. So I could run the water lines underneath of this shower pan and then up on the other side towards the water, the outlet itself. You will notice some big unsightly gaps in the plywood here. And well, like I said, nothing was really square. I did the best I could, but what I could not get right, we will fill with some sort of filler, some sort of caulking. I'll figure that out here soon enough. Now, where the drain's going to be, I've gone ahead and I've scribed a hole here, and there's nothing underneath of that except for the remnants of the cargo compartment underneath. Hoping that I've got enough room under there to work with some sort of P-trap or waterless P-trap anyway, just to save the room underneath of there so I could route it to the gray tank that'll be sitting underneath of the ambulance, or camper rather. Anyway, here we go. Going to go ahead and start drilling. Okay, so looks like the battery is about smoked in this thing. Something else, though, to keep in mind is I'm going through 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood here. And then on top of that, I got about an 1/8 inch sheet of aluminum underneath of that just for rigidity. So probably should have charged some batteries. I did not. Okay, we got one layer. Actually, nope, looks like one layer out. Here we go for the second. Okay, looks like we got the second one. Get that out of there. Last but not least, the aluminum. Definitely should have thought this whole battery thing out a little bit sooner, but it is what it is. All right, Try that other battery I've got here. We're getting close. Oh. And success. Here we go. All right. We got a hole, guys. Okay. So here it is. Shower pan's just mocked in. And of course, we've got the hole successfully drilled, and you can kind of see down into the compartment underneath. Before I go any further, what I was saying was we're going to waterproof this area first, and then we're going to overlay another piece of plywood. So to give a kind of a demo of what I was talking about, so here's what we have right now. And we're going to go ahead and place another sheet of plywood kind of right there. What that does is when the water rolls down that, it'll roll down and hit the lip of the shower pan and kind of hopefully gracefully just go on into the shower pan. Now, it's going to have one more layer even on top of that, which is the tile that we'll be using. And I believe that's a 5mm thick tile. So we're just going to say another layer of 1/4 inch plywood because I think 5mm is about 0.2 inches. Okay, so check that out. That is looking good. That's just a tiny little bit of round over that the water's got to clear before it goes in the shower pan. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what made this such a challenge to build, was trying to frame everything up over that whole premise right there. Well, everything looks pretty good on the top side, but looking on down the road, just in case something were to leak or I've got to disconnect the shower drain just for whatever reason, it's not a good idea to plumb everything from the top and then just hope you don't have to. So looking at the bottom side of it, that's not very much access to try to spin that drain off there if need be. The floor is let's see, 1.5 inches thick, and then the thickness about a 1/4 inch of that aluminum plate right there. So that being said, I'm going to have to make this hole quite a bit bigger, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that just yet. I don't have a bigger hole saw, so it's looking like it's probably going to be the jigsaw, sawzall, or any combination of just whatever tool gets in here to work. Not necessarily from the bottom, but from the top. It's not going to win any shows in terms of how pretty it looks, but I guess that really doesn't matter as long as I can have access to it. Okay, so what I've done is I've filled some gaps up with just some latex caulking material to go ahead and seam those up. You can kind of see a little bit of what I've done here. Now keep in mind there's going to be another piece of plywood covering that. That's more of a precautionary measure, than anything. But in terms of the back side of this, it's about, it's going to have the waterproofing material over it and then some sort of stick-on tile. So there's probably going to be no water really hitting back here, but I'm going to waterproof it just to be on the safe side. You can kind of look at the bottom there and see I've left it unseam sealed or uncaulked where I plan on taking that hatch out in order to run the piping through there, but I'll come back in and finish that up at a later point. Yeah, looking good. Well, there you have it, guys. Much bigger hole. All right, so now, as you can see, we've got a lot more room to deal with just in case, leaks happen, plumbing happens. If I've got to be down here disconnecting this, odds are probably not going to be in a great mood to begin with, so at least this will help ease the pain, knowing that I have at least decent access to get what I need to get to. All right, so this is what we've got, Aqua Defense. says to go ahead and stir it before use, but kind of has, well, a little bit of a jello-y consistency to it. It's kind of crazy. I'm not sure that stirring this is really going to help out a whole hell of a lot, but oh, I'm going to follow the directions, at least to the best I can here anyway. My goodness. Yeah, I think I'm just going to get a brush and start going to work here. But man, just look at that. You know, one thing about this stuff I will say is it's a whole lot thicker and it dries way faster than I thought it was going to. You can kind of get a peek here. All I've done is kind of gone around the hard to get to edges, corners, and whatnot. And so far, pretty impressed. It dries really super fast. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to say about 10 minutes, and you can run your hand across it. And well, I'm pretty impressed with it here so far. Going to go ahead and grab a roller here in a second and start getting down with that. Try to at least get one thin coat on everything here so we can stand back and put a second one on. All right, so this is what it's looking like. We've put on 2 layers of this stuff here in the last few hours, and the one thing I will say about it is truly remarkable how fast this stuff dries. Matter of fact, it starts even kind of flashing off before you get done brushing the stuff on. It's fairly warm out here in the shop today. I'm not sure exactly what the temperature is. I'm going to guess middle 80s. It has been a little bit swampy in here today, and the added moisture to the air certainly not helping matters. But it did turn out pretty nice. And now it's time to go ahead and put the shower pan in for for its last time install. It's going to end up getting glued down this time, and then go ahead and put our auxiliary plywood on the sides and start going from there. There's tile to be done, and it's all in track now. Definitely green, for sure. Looking pretty good, though. All right, so looking back at this build of the bathroom here, there's a couple of things that I always kind of go back and I think, what would I have done different if I had the chance now? One, I probably would have brought this wall just a little further out, and I'm not talking a lot, probably 6 inches, 4 inches. Every inch counts when it comes to side by side room in a bathroom or a shower, just because, man, I'm a big guy. When I turn around, I'm going to need that room. It would have kind of messed up the spacing of these overhead lights just a little bit, and I didn't want these too far in towards the center, just for aesthetics anyway. Also, speaking of the lights, when we put the lights in the ceiling, and we had no idea we were going to put the shower here in this location. It was actually initially going to be here where the dinette is. And what kept kind of drawing me away from that is I really didn't want to have to walk through the shower or the restroom area to get into the cab of the vehicle. And the way it is now is we're still able to use it, but I mean, at worst, we'll have to disconnect the tabletop so we can get in and out, but it's not really that big of a deal. Other than that, man, there's just probably not a lot I would have done different. And you could always think back on things later and come up with things, but those are the two big ones. Um, at this point, I just wanted to give you kind of a glimpse of how this shower is getting done and give you guys some ideas maybe for your own conversion as well. Next time, we're going to be putting the shower pan back in the floor. Probably go ahead and hold that down with some silicone or some sort of construction adhesive. Odds are it's going to be silicone just where it doesn't get too stiff. That'll secure it to the floor, and then I'm going to put the plywood on the back walls, trim it out in the front, and ultimately I'll end up putting another piece of plywood in the front here where the studding is still open to where you can see it right now. Right now I'm going to keep that open so we can go ahead and run PEX through there. That's really about it for right now. Just again, wanted to give you an idea where the build's at and just give you something kind of fun to watch anyway. So happy adventures, guys. I'll see you next time, okay?